These are the Sony Xperia 10 and the Xperia 10 Plus, two new mid-rangers from Sony which adopt the new 21:9 display aspect ratio that the manufacturer decided to run with. As you can see, they appear quite tall, thanks to both the extra wide screens and the fact that they have a bit of a forehead where the selfie camera and the earpiece sit. No notches, no holes. Sony's phones are back to a clean and elegant rectangular look through and through. Hello everyone, my name is Vic Christoph with PhoneArena, and both phones feel super comfortable to hold, especially the small-sized Xperia 10. It's very narrow and fits really well in the hand, while the screen still gives off the illusion that it fits a lot of content. The phones are listed made out of metal, but don't give off a cool touch of aluminum. Still, they feel better than plastic or slippery glass. The fingerprint scanner is now placed on the side, and we found it to be quite accurate. Sometimes it may take a second or so to scan your finger, but we haven't suffered any failed readings so far. It always works on the first try. We do have a gripe with these hardware buttons. The power key and the volume rocker are super shallow, they sit almost flush with the device, so they're very hard to find by touch and to operate. The Xperia 10 has a 6-inch display and the 10 Plus has a 6.5-inch diagonal. Both have a resolution of 1080 by 2520 pixels and the result is a very sharp image. The white balance on the review units we got is a bit off-putting. The Xperia 10 has a greenish cast and the Xperia 10 Plus is a bit bluish. Even messing with the RGB sliders and settings didn't help us much here. Otherwise, the contrast is okay, especially for budget LCD panels, and the color saturation is pretty balanced. You also have the choice to go into super saturated territory by activating super vivid mode, if that's your thing. The panels don't get super bright. We found them usable under direct sunlight, but squinting is required, so not your go-to summer vacation handset, would say. The extra tall ratio helps us fit more content on screen when we're reading the web, browsing social media or writing texts. It also leaves a bit more room for split-screen multitasking. It doesn't look like a whole lot more when you compare them next to a regular phone, but it does feel like it's more when you're holding the phone, scrolling through posts and so on. It also has some compatibility issues with some games out there, so gamers beware. At the time of reviewing them at least, we found that some popular games like PUBG and CNC Rivals would not fill up the entire 21:9 screen and might even stretch out vertically and give you a weird image instead. Of course, it's up to the developers to patch this, but it's something to keep in mind. Sony's approach to user interface has always been something along the lines of, let's not mess Android up too much. Their rescans are light and generally follow the core Android look and feel. There are a bunch of Sony-made apps that come with the Xperias, like the News app, the PS app, Xperia Lounge, and an automatic movie creator, which may all feel a bit like bloat, but are nothing too offensive. Besides, most of them can be uninstalled. The one notable proprietary feature that Sony puts on the new Xperias is the so-called Side Sense. Much like the edge panels on the Samsung Galaxy phone, it's a tiny transparent handlebar resting on the very edge, left or right, of your screen. It's here to help you in using the extra tall phones with just one hand. You just double tap it like this and you get shortcuts to your favorite apps or functions. The Sony Xperia 10 and Xperia 10 Plus are powered by slightly different processors, a Qualcomm Snapdragon 630 in the small model and the Snapdragon 636 in the Plus variant. In our experience, we saw small differences in performance between the two phones, if any. The Xperia 10 Plus is sometimes slightly faster than its sibling, but not to a huge extent. For the most part, both phones run okay. Sometimes there's a delay between you tapping something and it loading up, which can be annoying. Sometimes there are some frame drops that interrupt your buttery smooth scrolling, which will irk the trained eye. As far as games go, any heavy game we threw at the Xperia 10 Duo would instantly lock their graphics settings to low. In other words, they can get you through day-to-day tasks, but power users should probably look for something, well, a bit more powerful. In terms of camera quality, both are somewhat different, though we can't say either one of them is particularly good. The Xperia 10, when shooting out on a sunny day, will give you mostly accurate and nicely saturated colors. Its dynamic range edges on being less than ideal, with shadows easily fading to black, while highlights struggle to not get overblown. Zoom in on a picture and you will be pleasantly surprised by the nice structure of detail without apparent over-sharpening. Indoors, under artificial lighting, the colors start getting oversaturated left and right, and the lack of any sort of stabilization means you will often end up with a blurry shot as the shutter time is boosted to let more light in. The Xperia 10 Plus is on par with the regular Xperia 10 in terms of color reproduction, but it has a slightly better dynamic range. We're speaking about the camera here, and on the flip side, the Xperia 10 Plus captures slightly softer detail than the regular 10. Indoors, under artificial lights, it performs much better than its smaller sibling without oversaturating the colors or overblowing the highlights. Though it still suffers from lack of stabilization, it is generally the better camera of the two here. When it comes to bokeh mode or portrait mode, both aren't great. The subject is rarely separated from the background in a pleasing or accurate manner. Still, the Xperia 10 Plus has the upper hand here since it sports a telephoto lens on its secondary camera. This means that portraits come out much more honest, with less lens distortion, which would cause banana head or big nose effects. In terms of video, both phones produce clips with good detail and accurate, if sometimes saturated colors. Sometimes the limited dynamic range rears its head and makes objects that are in shadows too dark, but otherwise the clips can turn out pretty good if you have plenty of light. Both phones sport a 5-megapixel selfie camera, which performs adequately. It does its best not to overblow highlights. Colors are accurate and the details are nice, if only slightly over-sharpened. On our battery life test, the Xperia 10 hit 7 hours and 36 minutes, and the Xperia 10 Plus lasted for a bit longer, clocking in at around 8 hours and 15 minutes. Both results are okay in our eyes, nothing mind-blowing, but you can still rely on the phones to last a full day and have enough juice to make it to the nightstand. That has been our real-life experience with them as well. The Xperia 10 Duo and the flagship Xperia 1 are certainly a unique looking offering this year. We're not sure if any other manufacturer would be bold enough to try the 21:9 ratio anytime soon, so for the time being, these are the extra long phones to get, because there are no others. Are the looks worth it? Well, it's still up in the air. We found it inconveniently annoying that the screens didn't play our favorite games just right. But on the other hand, we had a blast with the extra vertical room that 21:9 was giving us. We did get used to one-handed operation with the help of SideSense too. It's not ideal, but it can work. Given that they are mid-range budget-friendly phones, we'd say the Xperia 10 and the Xperia 10 Plus are good devices that offer something unique without going too crazy. We still can't get over the terrible power and volume buttons, which shouldn't be on phones that cost $350 and $430 with you, but we generally like the handset's design. Clean, slim and comfortable to hold, acceptable performance, okay cameras as long as you don't expect miracles, good battery life, nothing too crazy, just crossing the checkboxes. And that was our quick review of the Xperia 10 and the Xperia 10 Plus. What did you think of them? I hope you found this review useful. My colleague Prestolov actually wrote this review and tested the phones, and you can find out even more details, benchmarks, photos and more in his article at our website www.phonearena.com. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. My name is Vic Christoph and I will see you in the next one.